Oh, hello everyone. It's Susie again from Esoteric Trading Solutions. I hope you're all well. Just like to say Ripple's come down quite a bit. In the last 3 days, it's been off about 25%. It has shown quite a lot of weakness against the other altcoins and particularly Bitcoin, Ethereum and LTC. So obviously the traders and the speculators must have been buying this up leading into the Swell conference and were obviously disappointed and then sold it down the last couple of days at least. I do think it's oversold. Short term as I speak, it's at 0.2088. Looks technically like it can get to 18 cents. But again, look, I'm looking to buy this to hold in my investment portfolio as an investment, not as a short-term trade. So if you want to do a short-term trade, you'd probably wait for this thing to come down a bit more. It does look like it can go down a bit more technically, probably down to 18. But as I've said to you before, I believe Ripple's best of breed in terms of cryptocurrency land because of what they're doing in terms of their technology. Again, technology is distributed and essentially they have a lot of clients, including the Federal Reserve and the Bank of England. So these guys have got money in the tin, they've got clients and business on the board, and they're doing great. They're absolutely doing great guns, absolutely. So in my mind, Ripple is very oversold at the moment, and you might get another couple of cents out of it because it does look like it wants to go down maybe a cent or two, but I'd be a holder for this one for the 2 to 5 years. So this is not a trade, it's actually an investment. As I said, Ripple has a performance on the board. They've got a real business. Basically, the real business actually generates quite a lot of income. They've got $15 billion in the bank. They've got great team management. They've got great board of directors. They've got great marketing. Literally, they're known by all the banks. So they're basically very, very well known, got a lot of profile, and they have a real business. Not like other ICOs that I've seen recently, like Electronum, which has basically got no business at all, it's trying to get money out of people and everyone's bullish, which I just find amazing. And then there's another one, Minigate, which to me looks exactly like Electronum. I haven't looked at the details of Minigate, but it's talking about the same thing, mining from your mobile phone, which to me just seems like a big joke. But also, we were talking about startup risk and, putting money into startup companies under the ICO story. And again, just something I read today or the other day, Tezos, which was the largest ICO, which basically pulled out 232 million at the ICO market. There's a real risk now that that venture could fail. Because there's some, talk between the founders and John Gevers, who heads up the foundation. One or the other wants control, and under Swiss law, the charity foundation, has to be independent. And these, they call them Tezzies, these Tezzy coins, really trade at a hefty price in the futures market, and yet there's no business, and there's a real risk that the project might be abandoned. Because there's no clarity on who actually controls the project going forward, and there's a huge risk that the project may not even run or may not even be developing. So development's way behind, and there's a huge risk that this might not even happen. So all this money they pulled out of the ICO, 232 mil, and apparently the foundation holds well over 400 mil. Now it's all up in the air because there's legal disputes between the Brightmans and Johan Gevers of the head of the foundation to who actually controls the project and does the project management going forward. So again, I've said to you guys before, startup risk, you're actually pricing up startup risk, and you're giving money to companies that don't even exist. I mean, literally they don't have anything on the board, and yet Ripple's got everything on the board, and yet people seem to be quite negative Ripple, which is just beyond me, unless I'm completely missing the point. And I've worked in financial markets for 30 years and I don't know anything, but seriously, it's just, I can't understand it. I really, it's beyond me. But anyway, so Ripple, as I said, has got well over 100 bank clients. They've even got the clients that we're talking about, the Federal Reserve, which again, what do I need to say here? And the Bank of England are their clients. On real-time gross settlement, literally instantaneous settlement, which is just unheard of. No one can do that. I mean, even Stellar is trying to do that, and they're trying to be competitive to Ripple, but Stellar is nowhere near where Ripple is. I mean, Ripple literally, has got market penetration. All the banks know who they are. They've got incredible exposure. They've got distribution. And as I said, they've got $15 billion in the bank. So, and, even if we talk about Bitcoin, Bitcoin is old technology. Again, Bitcoin came out in 2008, 2009. It's got no, in terms of, settlement process, it is old technology. It takes, anything from 7 to 12 to 15 to half an hour or whatever to actually settle something. And now it's doing all these hard forks because, it's trying to make it faster and everything else. Yes, there's a limited supply and all that sort of stuff. But the reality is, they're trying to do all these hard forks because the development of Bitcoin now is old hat, literally, compared to something like a Ripple. And that's the truth of it. And Bitcoin's, been, pushed up close to 5,900 or 5,800, which is what I saw, which it looks like it's going to go to 5,900 because everyone's buying because they're going to get free coins, which they're going to dump literally as soon as they get the free coins, basically, and Bitcoin will come off because of that. I mean, the reason why Bitcoin's going up, as you know, limited supply, blah, 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 21 mil, and essentially, when the populace knows about Bitcoin, they'll buy it, but again, it's retail. And honestly, it doesn't have the substance that Ripple does. So I'm lost for words. I cannot understand why Ripple keeps going down and every other alt currency keeps going up. It's just beyond me. Anyway, so I'm buying that not as a short-term trade, but as a hold. As I said, I think the currency is best of breed. It's not like a Stellar who just basically went into partnership with IBM. Again, that doesn't mean anything to me because IBM is pretty much old technology. IBM used to be at the forefront of computers and everything else, 25 years ago. They completely lost the plot. And, now you've got, the Japanese and the Chinese and everyone else that's way, way ahead of them. So, again, that doesn't mean anything to me. So as I said, Ripple can do cross-currency flows instantaneous. Normally, and I've been, I worked last year, for example, if I was going to do a cross-currency swap with Australia and say the Middle East, it would take literally 5 to 10 business days for that to settle. Ripple can do that straight away, like in a second. And they can do 1,500 transactions in a second. If I want to convert money and send over Australian dollars to the Middle East, I would need probably 2 correspondent banks in between me and the Middle Eastern bank because Middle Eastern banks don't have Nostro or Vostro accounts to actually clear Australian dollars. So I'd have to go through another bank, somewhere maybe in Asia to convert that Australian dollars to something else. And then it'd have to be converted again to the Middle Eastern bank. So there would be 4 banks in the process, and that would take 5 to 10 business days. Not settlement, not weekends, but 5 to 10 business days. So it could even be longer than 10 days when you add up the weekends. So technically, Ripple doesn't look very good. It looks like it's breaking the support line at around 2083. And if it does, then, the next level is probably 18, 16. But, I tell you, if it gets there, I'm going to buy, more than what I've got now as a long-term hold, 2 to 5 years at least. Again, Ethereum. I don't know. Ethereum to me, is the biggest sell in history. With this last fork that just went through, the Byzantium fork, the transition hasn't happened properly. There's a real problem with the transaction. Apparently not all the network has shifted to the new nodes and to the new upgrade, and it's only about 38% rather than the 59%. And apparently there's some faulty nodes, which means that there's a bug in the system, in the software of Byzantium. Now, the nodes are the communication for each different distributed ledger, which sits, around the globe or whatever. There might be 6 or 7 or 8 different computers somewhere around. Those nodes have to correspond with each other, and they all need to balance. If they've got a big problem with their nodes and it's a bug in the development, then those nodes can't actually balance that ledger. And, it means the transactions are going through, but each ledger where the nodes have to communicate to each other is not balancing. So the developers apparently are madly trying to find this problem. But if there's honestly something wrong with the program and the software, which is stopping the nodes from communicating, if they don't find it, I just don't know why Ethereum isn't down, like, crikey, 20%. Seriously, it's beyond me. What's going to make it go down? I mean, if they've got this problem, and I think with anything to do with programming or development, sometimes it takes a lot longer than people think to fix things. So I'm actually selling Ethereum. My level on Ethereum, what level was it? I sold it at 304, US 304, whatever it was, 304.99 or 305. I've got a stop loss at 311. I suspect Ethereum to get down to about 285, where it did the other day. If it breaks that, it could go lower. But honestly, if this story doesn't get fixed, there's a security bug, there's some sort of issue with the Byzantium software. If that doesn't get fixed soon, they're going to have a real problem. Okay, I hope this helps, guys. Cheers. Have a good night, and it's just food for thought. Thank you.